What else?
Channel 878 pele ho mono ko letseditseng stationing sa hao sa itlhomeng pele mmamedi re ke tla go hopotsa gore jalo ka ha o tseba gore ka mara hora ena ya leshome every Tuesday re kena ho book review mme tsatsing la kajeno re tlo tla re buisana le Auskuku Lethu Nkuta, right? Mme yena he buka ya hae e ngotswe the things she remembered. O tla tla re jwetsa ha batsi ka yona mamedi mme ako o re jwetse about yourself, who is Gugu and le gore o hotse jwang.
Libizwa ke Gugu Lethu Nkuta, as you said, born and bred actually, go East Rand. But ba mamitseng go East Rand, kwa Tema.
Representing
yes. More letsatsi le tjhabang teng.
Yes, my darling.
So I was born and bred there, and I'm just one of Modimo. I love Modimo. Ke le rata lentswe la hae, ebile ke rata batho ba hae. I'm also an author. I'm a teacher, I'm in corporate, over and above that, a musician as well. And the book, Bukaki, and the things that she remembered, it's a novel fiction which is beautiful. It has a moral story and an ending. We tshwarela wena, self-forgiveness,
okay,
cool. Self-restoration.
Ke batla re bue ka go gola ga gago. Go tse o le ngwana o jwang?
Sure, nna ke hotse ke ngwana. I loved strata. I actually loved playing. I loved haholo even ubala dibuka. Books were always something that I loved. It was always in the house, also music as well. And short stories. You know, my favorite classes was always, you know, Hanerehola.
Yes, yes.
Read, because I've always loved that. And not because of maybe the attention that it gave, but the fact that when you read Ubala, even about these characters, you know, that you don't know, we've never heard of, places, and books have got a way of taking you there. So growing up with that, I've always loved that. Literature, original writing have always been my favorite subject. Born in a Christian home, born in a prayerful home, raised by my mother, my grandmother, actually my dad who passed on when I was 3 from cancer. So I grew up with that love. And in those days, I mean, you know, pre-1994, it was in the townships, you know, it was hard to even think of being an author. You were always told, go to school, ube lawyer, ube doctor, ube mistress, you know, so writing was a very taboo thing, you know, let alone music, you know, so growing up, you know, with now being in corporate, there's gifts that we don't have to work hard for. Those are things I think even for our young people, we have to encourage them to do. It's good to go to school, but if you don't have the opportunity because of education or you can't afford it or whatever reason, guess what? If you can become an author, what a wonderful way. And I think Lefatsi, even the world is ready for Africa to tell their stories our own way.
Gugu yazi umlalele manje, and amamethi wena o re jwetsa ka go gola ga gago. One would think, okay, so Gugu Chong holds a handle without any challenges. Jolly, can you share those challenges, Lemo Mamit?
Challenges, I mean, firstly, growing up without a father, you know, and the importance of that Dekotlum is very important. I never had that. You know, funny enough, you're asking me, Quinty, someone asked me the other day, I said, I don't know what even a hug feels like of a father. I don't even know how to say Papa. You know, because growing up with a mother, growing up with a grandmother. But, you know, I realized the power of choice, Quinty. In growing up, it's not what you go through or what gets done to you, which is the moral of this book. It's a girl who goes through so many things. But guess what? The choice always lies with you. It's not what gets done to you, but it's you making those tough decisions to move on. So at a young, early age, you know, growing up with lack and poverty, being a girl, could have gone through so many things, which, you know, in radio you cannot tell it all. But it was discovering the power that is within me. Say, all of us we have, our feeling, the power to choose, the will to choose. And choices are many for all of us. But it's a matter of saying, how quick do you choose at a young age? And I learned that. So the toughness of it, I mean, growing up, mama so learning really to fend for myself, to fight for myself, escaping the challenges of many things like abuse, alcohol around you. So you realize what Pelo has a way of taking you through, and then you survive it all.
All right. I get it. You said that an author in right? Doctor, teacher.
I wanted to be a lawyer, actually.
You wanted to be a lawyer?
Yes.
So tell us, when did you develop the love of writing?
The love of writing, I said, at a very young age, but it started becoming very strong when I started knowing how to write. And at first it was...
And when was that?
Sure, I think the early ages of 16, 17. So households about knowing. I remember I could not pronounce the word business. I used to say keep business. And I was like, because those days you used to use newspaper. Remember? It was newspaper, it was short stories as well. Keep business. Entrepreneurship was worse. So when I started knowing how to put sentences together, so it started being a lover of short stories. And sometimes you don't believe in that gift. You just write and you throw things away. You write, you throw it away. Sometimes voices. Sometimes I would hear, characters, I would see places that I've never been. Only when I started traveling, funny enough, I'm like, this feels like deja vu. It feels like I've been here. That's when I started putting the puzzles together. To say, okay, so I can take this location. That person that I met, go Cape Town, let me think, what were they doing? And then those became stories. But more than anything, Kimwala from what I see around me. The challenges that our country goes through around depression, around suicide, which is high amongst Babacha. So whatever I see, I try to write from outside, because it's better to write that because if it's personal, you become too attached to the story. Yeah. But if it's outside, you can just write and then let the people judge for themselves.
So, Tsatsinika as the 11th of September 2018. And how did you book at Zika?
I've got lots of books that I've written, but this is the first one Nikki published. The second one is already on its way.
Okay.
Second one's already on its way. Praying on it, fella. I'm just, this one, it took me since 2011 to show you the journey. Some things are never a rush. The one question I get asked to say, how long does it take you? Quality, you never rush it. There was no rush for me, but it was important for me to get the right story. So there's other books that I've written, but this one was the one that I took time. It's only when I traveled to Vietnam, guess what? I found a location, that one character. The story just started coming together. So it's all those things when you look around as a writer, as an author. And guess what? You were never taught that. To say, what is that? How can you take that and put it into a story?
So can you tell us more about Bugaya How?
Yes.
The things she remembered.
The things she remembered is a beautiful novel-based story. It sees a main character, Yamanyana, her name is Estelle, and she goes through a traumatic space the first time she witnesses one of her friends committing suicide, and then in her growing up in a small village called Mekong, which I found go Vietnam. And I've mixed that story of South African stories. There's a bit of language, more even Babua Sesotho, Babua Lesotho, so I've mixed that. And then she goes through a trial of also being raped at the age of 16, where her innocence really gets taken away. And then she grows up with that secret between Yenale Oswahai. It's something that they keep, because guess what? She ends up being impregnated by the guy who raped her, who she actually killed in self-defense. So not to give away the full story, that is the journey that she walks through. And what does it say is that lady filters, Quinty, that we put on, in trying to hide and remain true. But as Marapo are, skeletons, they always have a way of finding you. And then she grows up in a marriage, she finds herself again in that same situation where now she has to face Nedi, So it's that, but more than anything, she goes through a journey of self-restoration and self-forgiveness. And Bongatabarona, that could come from anywhere. Does it come from you meeting with God? It's another way. Does it come with you from the people around you? It's another way. So the book is exactly that. You read it and you identify yourself with certain characters. So it's a matter of saying it's written for the whole family. Is it Yabasadi? The answer is no. Even guys do read. So if you're a lover of books, lover of stories, definitely this is a book for you.
Do you relate?
I relate
To the stories of God,
I do, especially now, because people are saying, you know what, you are hitting on something. You know, the secret of living abortion, the secret of living with being raped, the secret of living with being angry at life, the secret of just being in a beautiful family. You know, sometimes we think, sometimes you could grow up in a wonderful family that loves you with both parents, but life has a way of throwing things, a spanner at you. So, and emotions, they don't choose, Quinty. How tabile, whether you're white, black, or moholo munyan, or tabile. When you are in pain, that doesn't choose. And that's what makes us Baturatwane, or the pain that we feel. And we know, I mean, even our nation and our schools, we go through so much pain. How about the adoption of girls that we're looking at now? You can't say it's a white or black thing. It's a human race thing. So I relate a lot because of the trueness of the stories that I've taken. Some not related to Nina personally, some yes.
Some are related
some,
to you.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, I look at the journey that I've taken, but the traumatic side of it, I haven't experienced. But have I had friends and families that have gone through that, being abused, seeing a woman being battered? And the answer is yes. And guess what? It's the silence that we keep. Because even, you know, fear and abuse does that, Quinty. It paralyzes you. We always think, why Batubasabu? Why don't your family say? Why don't your friends? When abuse comes in, it paralyzes everyone, even people that can help you.
So, Gugu, are you saying for this book, you choose it for understander? Let's say when I know we have a woman, a abuser, and how so now you understand the situation.
Now I understand because fear grips you, and fear that leads to depression. Depression is simply a imbalance of that which leaves you to a point you think you're worthy of nothing, and to a point you think actually maybe I deserve this. I mean, who says that? Who says I deserve to be in, and it's not just for Batubaba's side, even for men. There are young men who today they go through that abuse. And they think, you know what, as a man, maybe I need to stomach this. But it's up until you are in someone's shoes. You can never judge what you don't know. And I always, you know, teach on saying, meet people at their point of departure, Quinty. Once you understand and then walk with them, allow them. But also for those of us who are around, let us speak enough and help enough. Because you know, there's so many things that we can do to help. Yes, it's always said,
yeah, true that.
But sometimes, you know what, a person just needs a nudge. Just for them to wake up and feel literally the pain in them. So I've learned exactly with the book with that, because it addresses those many challenges that each family faces. If you don't have a daughter that has gone through that, guess what? You are in a home of parents probably going through that. So that is what I hope people will find.
Can you take us through your favorite chapters here?
My favorite chapter here,
Yes.
sure. First of all, it's I think the first one. You know, it says in the beginning, Matalong, Ebukaleng. Because guess what? We all have a beginning.
True.
We all have a beginning of, for the first time, this girl, she starts hearing, you know, the gossips around her, people speaking, you know, and I think the most also traumatic one is when she literally gets raped, because literally when I started writing it, I had to literally go to the nitty-gritty of it, you know, to put myself in that situation. But more than anything, I think the end of it, the end chapter, where she finally meets God, but her own way, not the usual way of, you know, being saved. But she finds, okay, there's a Bible, but she doesn't love reading other books. She only enjoys, guess what, the Psalms, because those were the books that lifted her. Everything else that she read, she felt as if it was condemning and judging. So the Psalms and a proverb. So I loved the way of her discovering herself. So those are and a friend who's called Kanya, I think she brings a spark in the story. She's just a bubbly, loud somebody. And for someone who's in a traumatic space, you want some freshness in you, and you could find it in a friend or so. So definitely chapter 1 and the end of it, and the in between is sandwich.
But chapter 1, yes,
yes.
For making a tasty and
Kamu ke crack so when ke crust. Yes, but ko hare ke di sandwich.
Jale motho a dutseng hae a ipotsa he go hore ha ke reka buka ena e tlo change bophelo ba momamedi ka tsela e jwang?
How o reka buka ena? Firstly, you have to distance from yourself gore ke story. It's not fiction as say, it's truth. Because motho a ibalang o fitileng mo could identify with it. And the end result says that learn to forgive. You know, Hunali, as you know, Pina Echwong, you've got that one fight, and you have that one fight. You know, in me writing the book, there's also a song that I wrote to encourage anyone who's going through that deep moment. I never knew that God knew my name. Because of the many things until one day I realized God remembers me. He knows me. So you're never out. You always have that one fight in you. And a lot of people, but now how do I survive? I think we've lost too many people. We've lost too many young girls and men and families. But for those of us still remaining surviving, the answer is that, guess what? Every day you've got one fight within you, and you've got that strength inside to just exude it all. You know, and you cannot retreat, Quinty. You know, and that's one thing I want to leave with the listeners to say, soldiers don't retreat. And Mobo Pillow, you are your own soldier. Soldiers literally have a bona omunga wetifati lisol. Whether analutu bamobula. So we are in South Africa, we are a community of Ubuntu, you know, of pulling one another. So are you in that poverty space, but you see something to your family, to someone, a neighbor or somebody, guess what? Learn to pull them, learn to encourage them, learn to tell them that they've got the power within them.
You know, but there's this thing, Habegugu, to say, I talk to Gugu about my problems, Gugu Jozi FM knows about this. Then how do you deal into like a disappointment? How to say, I need you to lift me up as my sister, but then at the end of the day, you turn up against me.
You know, Quinty, I think, you know what is missing a lot? Compassion. And when I say love, I don't mean it's compassion. There's a difference between caring and compassion. When you care, you're trying to understand a person's problems, you know, you want to know the details, but compassion is putting yourself in those shoes. And I think whether you're a man or a male or family, and you do that, you don't help, but you lack compassion. Because there's something else to tell other people for the sake of getting help. But if it is just to spread mere gossip, guess what? Why don't you reap what you sow? Because tomorrow, but you remember, Lona, you did this. But it doesn't mean you know, I've always said to say there are no good people is to say there is no God. So in as much as there are those malicious more, guess what? There's always that one Quinty. There's always that who's willing to take your problem as if it's hers. But also choose. I think Lorena, as ladies, because we are so trusting, you know, by our nature we are, you have to literally at a certain age choose very carefully. You know, I've always said these days there's nothing like haters. There's enemies.
What's about we could take the whole day? What's it?
Yes.
You know, we're talking about the book in an Google
Buka is already
Mhm.
available.
Mhm.
If you are an ebook lover,
Mhm.
or rata obala mo phone tablet, it's already on Amazon, it's on
Nice.
Kindle iBooks.
Mm-hmm.
But if we tatela buka, the freshness, the smell of it, you can order it. Gauteng deliver for free.
Okay.
Outside of Gauteng, there's a fee, and also it will be available in stores. So stay connected on my social platforms, Kukuletu Ngota.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we'll be announcing when it will be available. But if you want buka, connect with me at connect@kukuletungota.com. That's connect@kukuletungota.com, and we try our best to deliver within 24 hours.
Alright,
Or
so,
something.
okay, my darling. So on Facebook, Kukuletu Nguta, and
Twitter,
on Twitter
on
and
Instagram,
as well.
Kukuletungota, yes.
Kuku, thank you so much for coming through.
Quinty, thank you so much. And those who are listening, and I hope someone out there found help. I hope someone out there said, I was getting ready to end it today, but yeah.
Thank you so much, my darling.
Thank you.
Thank you.